Alrighty guys, so it's not going to be long now. The Pathfinder playtest is rolling over to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and you know, I've been flipping through my rulebook a little bit, been talking to my friends and stuff, and there are some things I'd really like to see when we, get to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, become official canon stuff. So here we are today to discuss, since again, we are bereft of blog as of 6:29 p.m. in Kansas City, Missouri. Yes, we're all covered in snow. My top 5 changes to the Pathfinder playtest as we go to 2nd edition. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, remember to hit that like and subscribe button, ding that bell so you can get all your Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition content on time. And of course, if there's anything you'd change or if you'd like to argue with me for days about what I'd like to change, put it in the comments. Today, this episode of your Pathfinder 2nd Edition preview content was brought to you in part by RS Bruce. Thanks for all your help, man. Are you alive out there? Also, do you hear this? Are you with us? Haven't heard from you a lot in Doomsday Dawn. Miss you, buddy. Anywho, let's hit it. Okay, so number 5 is a pretty easy, pretty straightforward thing that I've kind of been complaining about to all my friends for a while. And I will actually not just be complaining. There is a further out point to me saying that subpoint, where is the Cavalier? Give me back my Cavalier. But actually, number 5, I would like to see more archetypes exist in Pathfinder 2nd Edition that are not multi-class archetypes. I think the Pirate, though I never actually played one, was done very well and can be spread across a lot of different flavor. Anything from that well and true high seas buccaneer to a naval officer to a raiding Viking and back again. It's all covered in an archetype that any class can take, because that's how archetypes work now. In the same vein, I really liked the Cavalier. Anybody who wants a horse and to be a knight can tag up, whether that's the paladin who wants to deus all the votes, or the druid who wants to be the classic green knight, or the rogue who wants to be the classic black knight, I suppose. Sneak attacks are far from but a scratch. In any case, further archetypes like this both can sell the flavor of a lot of characters and, in a way, can make some classes obsolete. Now, I don't mean like the magus or the kineticist. No, I mean classes like the samurai and the ninja. Yes, there are mechanical differences between a ninja and a rogue. You are correct. Many of those mechanical differences are kind of blurred through the use of ninja trick rogue talent crossovers as you had, and the same's true with a cavalier and a samurai. Your samurai could be Order of the Sword, your cavalier could be Ronin, and everything in between. Making these classes of different cultures and different persuasions just an archetype, again, serves the same purpose as like the Green Knight Druid Cavalier, just this one is of a different flavor, and also means we don't have to fill slots in a given splat book with, hey, here's these classes, which of course means we can have more unique original content. Anyway, you guys get what I mean. Number 4, I think this one is going to be something we definitely see, at least I'm hoping, but in the playtest it was left so gray that it was really hard to definitely objectively play a familiar the same way at 2 different tables. Now, you guys have heard me over and over again, and I'll say it one more time if you haven't. The power of a familiar can never, ever, ever, ever be overstated. An intelligent scout that fades in amongst, the rest of the birds in the tree before any other kind of tech that you can give a familiar is just invaluable. But we don't definitively know, for example, what its intelligence score is out the gate. We get some flavor text about, well, the ritual makes it smarter. How smarter, though? Is it intelligent enough to understand common without taking the can speak common? And if it's not, can it still kind of like put 2 and 2 together? A more well-defined table kind of needs to exist. If it looked more like, say, the animal companion, for example, we would know. And extra variance also wouldn't hurt. Think like your Mauler familiar versus your Sage familiar in Legacy Pathfinder. Maybe as your familiar becomes, dare I say it, attuned, it gets an intelligence buff if you would like the Sage familiar, or a strength buff if you'd like your Flying Fox to become medium and eat people. Have done. Was fun. As of now, okay, here, quick example. This episode of Tales from the Greenwich Colonies hasn't been edited out yet. I still have it. It's coming. You may have seen it on Twitch. We got wrecked by basically a shocker lizard on steroids and then hunted the thing down so it could no longer harm innocents. And it was Jason at this point that was like, hey, we should all get crossbows. That's important. And so I did. And in that combat, far enough away and out of the line of lightning, sometimes we learn our lessons. My combat turn went like this. First action, command my familiar. Remaining 2 actions, strike with my crossbow. My familiar, who had taken the ability to have basic grasping appendages, would use an action to reload my crossbow twice. My GM allowed it to work. I told my girlfriend that. I told Lucia that like 5 minutes ago before I came up here to record this. And yeah, it's sweet tech. Does it work definitively? No, we do not have an answer for several reasons. And I think that's something that really needs to be cleared up, because if I were to try to do that at another table, I cannot do so reliably. It's worrisome, and it can bog down play as me and the GM are back and forthing. Not fun. Anyway, number 3. This one is kind of a nitpick, I'm not gonna lie, but we used the spell in a 3.P, 3.5 and Pathfinder mixed together, if you don't know, game here last Sunday, and it just dawns on me that it's like the control spell that hasn't been one-to-one near as well 4 degrees of success or otherwise. Spells like entangle, or rather any spell that hampers movement, to speak more broadly, I suppose, should do more than just like, you're hampered 10, and if you fumble, it's bad. Because things aren't really gonna fumble. Well, I guess they can. RNG is definitely a thing, but like on par level-wise, they're not gonna fumble super reliably. And hampered 10 doesn't hurt that bad when you can just move. The slowest guy in the party has a speed of 20 feet. If he's hampered 10, that means he has a speed of 30 feet, so he's been reduced like to a move action. Generally speaking, that's all you needed to get out of something like Entangle. I think Entangled should, though we're going to see some minor changes to how debuffs work, impose some kind of dex neg. At least make them flat-footed, you know, something along the lines of how it used to work in older versions of D&D, because the spell is just kind of not doing the best right now. Now, number 2 is going to kind of contradict last Saturday's episode of min-maxing for fun and profit, but I can't help but think something like the mechanic should exist given how dying works in the playtest. Number 2, I think the coup de grace mechanic needs to exist in some way, shape, or form. Now, an auto-saver die is definitely, really powerful, and I'm not saying we should have that, because otherwise the meta, much like it does in Legacy Pathfinder, looking at you, witches, conveniently skews that direction. And that's not a bad thing. It's objectively the best way to play in terms of like quick, efficient combat, but it's not fun. That said, dying in the Pathfinder playtest works a lot different. There's a ticking up condition. It has to get to 4. You can go to 0 hit points and then get up. Basically, right, is the gist. Wounded aside, it stands to reason that if you knock a dude down and then go ignore that dude to go fight another dude, this dude who you just knocked down might get up and fight one of your dudes, if that made any kind of sense. That, of course, is solved by spending actions in combat if he's down on the ground at dying 1, attacking. Seems easy, right? It kind of is. When you're dying, you're unconscious and prone, meaning all told, it's a -4 conditional penalty, -2 circumstance penalty, so a total of -6 to AC. But that means that, you can still miss. And I have 100% missed the dying thing, and it feels really bad. Especially when the rest of the encounter is happening like 20 feet away from me. This creature cannot defend itself. I'd like to just step forward and, send it to Pharasma. Do I want to do that automatically? No. Though that would be efficient, it goes against the nature of the 4 degrees of success. But what I do think should happen is something as simple as, if you can't act, strikes against you are treated as 1 degree better. So if I attack and hit you, I've actually crit you. Remember, the damage is arbitrary. Dying 1 goes to dying 2 on a hit, dying 3 on a crit. If I would miss, I would actually hit. There's precedent for this. If you look at Asleep, You critically fail all reflex saves you must attempt, so there you go. This seems like a fair balance. It still costs actions in combat. It probably cost at least 2 at dying 1 to go like dying 3 then dead. But it's not something that's as powerful as it used to be, which fits into the brave new meta that we're playing in. Now, last but not least, my number 1 change to the Pathfinder playtest moving into Pathfinder 2nd edition is going to probably put some people, you know, rapidly to their keyboards to tell me why this is wrong, or at the same time, I know a lot of my friends miss doing this when they're building characters. Again, I just talked to Lucia about this before I came up to record this video, like, what do we need to change? And I know her, I know several members of the IOPC, and even truly myself miss the ability to dump an ability score below 10 for value. You know, classically speaking, min-maxing. Now, I know the reason we can't do that anymore, or rather we can, but reap no rewards, is objectively speaking to prevent that from occurring. Okay, fine. I agree. I enjoy character optimization. I do. Everyone who hears my voice knows that. But it's not for everyone, and that's totally fine. But I do think, much like, say for example, a Gestalt game, the min-maxing rules in Pathfinder 2nd edition ought to exist as an optional rule set. This is no different in Legacy Pathfinder than playing on a 15 point or 20 or 25 or more point buy or rolling, or a Gestalt game, or even like a game where everyone has to play a given race or class, right? It's literally just an optional rule set. Now, classically, we would dump to 7 in Legacy Pathfinder and like 3.5 and stuff. Obviously, that one's not going to work out as well, as ability scores tick up by 2s. So I imagine it looks more like a dump to 8 in this format for an extra point. That extra point is definitely like the name of the game of character optimization. And a lot of times I've found, and my friends have found, though of course with the overhaul to proficiency, this is all getting changed. In the Pathfinder playtest, low-level combat's really hard. So the ability, for example, say when I was playing Octarian at the IOPC, I really wanted to start with 18 dex, 18 strength, because Archer, who also wanted to be in melee. I could not do so because of the way the ability score ups and downs went. I could only have the 118. But if I could dump, say, my charisma that I didn't need to 8, and then have that free floating point to bump up to 218s, then there you go, so be it, right? Now, again, I'm 100% saying optional rule set. It's not going to be good for everyone, and that's fine. Further taxes on this are also, like, fair, in my opinion. Say you can only dump 1 stat to 8 before ability flaws, to say nothing of, oh, now I have a 6 con elf. Guys don't have a 6 con elf. I don't care. No, stop it. Go home. You're probably already home. You're watching a YouTube video. Just don't, is what I'm saying. But there's nothing wrong, unless someone's playing offensively, to play a 6 intelligence character. I played a 6 charisma character for a long time, and it was some of my favorite roleplay to just literally sit down at my desk, get on Roll20, and blurt the first word that came out of my head. Just boom, go. It was amazing. Same's true for the 6 intelligence character who doesn't get anything. Or like if you dump strength on your halfling, your 6 strength halfling in a bulk-based encumbrance system is barely carrying their own weight, and it's so much easier to track than it was against the optimized characters of Legacy Pathfinder. I think it's fair. And again, if you disagree, I am 100% advocating for an optional rule set here. And that's all I have to say. What do you guys think? Am I on par here? Is there anything you would change about the Pathfinder playtest as we roll to official content? Again, throw it in the comments. We'll keep that conversation rolling. And again, thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Ding that bell so you get your Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition content on time. We'll be back with Doomsday Dawn, finishing up Red Flags this coming Friday. This week's episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit will be Legacy Pathfinder. We are building a Void Kineticist. Also, look for a special giveaway announcement later in the week. Fun! See you then.